What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the next episode of the Impreza, and the first one where we actually get our hands a little bit dirty. In the introduction episode, I gave you a bit of an overview of the entire car and then set up how we're going to be tackling this project. And the first thing on my list is the interior. Now, as you saw, most of it's stripped out. There are a couple other things that need to come out before I can finish the prep and paint this cab of the car. So I'm going to do that first, and then I've got a bunch of parts hanging out to my left that I'm going to show you guys that are going to go back in the car once the paint is dry. Things like the harness bar, the harnesses, the seats, and some trim pieces and things. So I'm thinking we should get started with gutting the car and then move our way to actually painting this thing, making it look a lot nicer than it is right now. Alright, the prep work is all finished up. Everything is out of the car. Things have been taped off, and then I just washed and degreased, so I'm waiting for it to all dry up before I pop out here and hit the inside with some Rust-Oleum white enamel. As you could have guessed, I'm not going to be doing a professional paint job on the inside of this car. The whole thing was $1,000. There's no way I'm spending thousands to do that, but I am willing to spend 20 or 30 bucks on rattle can. And jobs I've done before similar to this, it actually turns out pretty good if you prep well and maybe even apply a clear coat over the top. So I'm going to let this do its thing, pop back out here, and you guys are going to get to see the inside of this car getting sprayed. Well, I've emptied out about 3 cans of paint, and the interior is starting to come together pretty well. I still have some work to do on the roof and pillars and things, but I think I'll finish that tonight, and then tomorrow it'll be dry, ready for panels and things to go on. In the meantime, I'm going to get out of this very toxic air, go down to the basement and work on the passenger side seat bracket. Basically, I have to fab up a couple pieces, and since I've been starting to learn on my Eastwood MIG, I'm going to be doing the tack welds, maybe even laying some beads myself. As you can see, I've been making nice smiley faces practicing on this. I think I'm going to do a separate episode just showing my progression on that. But I'm going to use that skill to be able to tack up those brackets, get them up here, make sure the seats fit. That way, once the panels are on, I get the seats in, get the steering wheel on, harness bar, harnesses. We should be pretty good on the interior then. I just finished up the final coat of interior paint, so I'm going to let that dry overnight, and then tomorrow morning I can start reinstalling the seats and the brackets that I was working on. And if you guys didn't see the original videos on this car, this is what I did. On the driver's seat, I had a specific aftermarket seat bracket to mount a race seat, but on the passenger side, I didn't, and being a budget build, I wanted to get a little creative and DIY. So what I did was chopped the adjustable seat brackets off of the OEM seat, and then I just needed to create mounts to be able to put a race seat on it. That's what you saw me welding, is a couple of mounting tabs here. And I gotta say, for my second time welding, it's not the absolute worst job in the world. but there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. So I'm hoping over the next couple of weeks to start getting better and better so I can do these small projects and then progress my skills forward. And I was thinking it's funny that I worked at Grimspeed for almost 9 years with a full professional welding department, and anytime I had jobs like this, I would go over there. They were always accommodating to help me out, but I never took the initiative for them to teach me how to do it. So I am really starting from scratch here, but excited to see how much better I can get at this, because after all, that's a hugely valuable skill for fabricating. I want to be able to do most of the things on my builds myself. I don't have to rely on other people to have to come in and do that same job for me. So next steps, I'm going to be painting these just to get them looking a little better, make sure they don't rust, and then I will be finishing out the interior tomorrow. I've been messing around the garage for about a half hour or so, just taking off the tape and paper and looking at the paint job, and it looks pretty good. I mean, for $40, it totally changes the look of the car. How long is this going to last? I don't know, but I don't really care. Right now, it looks great. And I've just been doing some other things like routing some of the wiring, putting on the shift boot and e-brake, and moving on to the big stuff. These big panels, door trim, and then the rear delete portions, and of course the seats that I've been working on. The paint's all dry. I got the brackets installed on the seats, so now it's time to throw them into the car. After that, we've got the steering wheel, we've got the harness bar and the harnesses, and then we're pretty much done for this episode. Seats are in, which means we are almost at full race car status. The only things that remain are what's in front of me here. So I'm going to be putting a universal harness bar in along with these Takata harnesses. Now, these are awesome. I've used them in a number of my cars. What I really like about them is they don't have the conventional locking system like a race harness has, but instead just a seatbelt style lock. Makes it really nice for a daily driver, fun race car. And then the steering wheel. This is not what I'm going to be putting in. This is a $10 eBay special as a placeholder. I'm going to be breaking into the Cressida out back and taking the Nardi wheel out of there, because I think it's going to be more fitting in this car anyway. And then we should be able to wrap up. I'll show you what it all looks like after it's done. With the steering wheel mounted, I would say that's a wrap on the interior of this car, and it is awesome in here. It feels just like a little budget rally car, and everything fit up really nicely. I had to do some minor modifications here and there, but I am glad I decided to paint the inside of this white like I did. It feels really fresh. Get the seats mounted, get this harness bar in. I mean, it really feels ready to race in here. And it's kind of reinvigorated my excitement for this build. A couple weeks ago, I towed this car back from Grimspeed. There was nothing in here. The engine's out. It was all covered in dust and parts and boxes, and it was kind of discouraging to see it like that. So it took me a little bit of time to get going on this. But as soon as I tackled the interior, it really gave me that feeling of what I had when I began this project, that rally car that I've dreamt about and that is very attainable for me. So this is a huge step towards that, and we've got a lot of work to do, but I'm kind of seeing an end in sight. So what I'm gonna do is pop out of this harness, go up to the board, start check marking things that we've done off, and then we'll see what the next step is, what you guys have to look forward to in the next couple videos. Well, here were my goals from last week. It was paint, we got that done. Seats, obviously those are mounted, harness bar, and everything came together really nicely. The steering wheel was kind of cherry on top of the cake. And then I just put miscellaneous for some little things. That's mostly done, I'd say 95%. I'm gonna tackle that right when I get done filming. But then the other major parts are exterior, engine, and suspension. Exterior is probably going to be the last thing we do. Engine, I'm working on the side and filming. So I think suspension with a capital sus is going to be the next episode. It was sort of haphazardly thrown together, so I'm not sure what's tightened, what's loose, what still needs to get installed. So I think I'm going to start inspecting that. Maybe I could do a bit of an overview and finish that up in the next episode. The last thing I want to do is get a couple of clips of the interior kind of up close and throw it together in a montage, so I'll post that right after this. But I wanted to take a moment to thank everyone. The over 4,000 subscribers I've gotten on my page in the last couple of weeks alone, it's been huge. And the messages and comments I've gotten have been overwhelmingly positive, so I really appreciate that. And if you're watching the video just now and you haven't subscribed, please consider doing that, liking the video, maybe even sharing it, because that's a huge help to kind of growing a channel that I'm just recently starting. And I'm planning to make a lot more content like this. Obviously, this car still has a lot to be done, and I'm planning on finishing that up, but there's about 1,000 other projects that I made a list of that I could do. A lot of Subaru stuff, a lot of Forester stuff. That's why a lot of my fans are on this page. But also things outside of Subaru. I love Toyotas. I love motorcycles. There's a million things that I could be doing. But you guys are the ones giving me the push to do them, to film them, and put them out for your enjoyment. So again, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next episode.